Hey, I'm going to do a session on sub-Ds. This is a sort of optional session just for those of you who want to know about more geometry types within Rhino. And it might be useful later on, but there's going to be no place on Miro to submit this, and it's just for fun. And what it is that NURBS modeling is one type of mathematical surfaces within Rhino. Within Rhino 7, they imported a sort of foreign geometry type called sub-Ds, which is subdivision surfaces, a mesh form. And that's typically what's used in organic modeling and by Pixar and by Disney. It's typically what's used by Zaha Hadid and all of that sort of very soft geometry, sort of curvy, sort of referring to soft here, that it sort of has these soft forms and sort of soft corners as opposed to hard corners. And I'm just going to cover some examples of that. So within this ribbon menu at the top, you can switch it from the standard menu that we've been using to sub-D tools. And from the top menu changes, which is sort of editing tools, and this left menu changes, which is sort of creating geometry tools. So here we can create a sub-D box. And if you click that, then let's just make one. So this is a typical sub-D. And the first thing to know is the tab button. So the tab, I'm going to double click, make it clear. The tab button will change from this curvy kind of look, or smooth look, to this flat look. And these are the same topology, as in the same sort of vertices and the same edges and the same faces in both examples. But this one, everything is flat, and this one, everything is smooth. Typically, sometimes for modeling purposes and for selecting things really easy, you want to see them in this flat view. But for exporting and for what you're actually aiming to output, it's always going to be the smooth view. So I can't currently select any of this sort of internal geometry, and selecting that sort of sub-geometry is how sub-Ds work. So currently I can just select the whole sub-D, or not select the whole sub-D. And I need to change my selection filters, which if you see here, this is the O-snaps. This might be on the bottom, depending on where you put it. But there's also this menu called selection filters. If you don't have this selection filters menu anywhere on your screen, you can type up here selection filters and show, and it will sort of show it if it's not already shown. So first thing to do is turn all these things off. There's a faster way to do it. And then turn sub-objects on. So now points has changed to points and vertices, curves has changed to curves and edges, surfaces has changed to surface and faces. So now if I turn, then I can select faces on. Now I can select a face, and I could very quickly just move that up and move, let's say, this down. And using the gumball is sort of the default way of working with sub-Ds. So with that, I very quickly created this sort of pebble shape. And if I do tab, I can see that this is what it looks like in a flat view. And I can see how those changes are reflected in the smooth view. So if I undo all these changes, say Control Z, undo, one nice tool is creasing, right? And there's sort of a hard crease and a soft crease, and you kind of see up here at the top, add soft crease or add hard crease. So if I select edges, and I select these edges all around the top, you can see that in flat and in smooth. And now I'm going to do a hard crease on all of them. So to do that, I would right click on this fourth button from the top. And now I see, even in smooth view, I have a perfect sort of at least right angle in this plane, but I have a sort of hard edge at the top. And now I can still, let's say, select faces, move this around, and I've kind of got this coffee table with a flat top. And these could still go up, but they're still, these edges here are still going to remain hard. So I undo, 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 undo. A soft crease means that we can sort of somewhere between this being 100% creased and the previous one, the hard one being 100% creased and this being 0, that I can go soft crease and then change the weight, see constant weight. So change that where 0 is smooth and 100 is the full crease. So if I do, let's say 65, this is where the line is going to be, and you're going to see it's going to have this sort of soft edge to it. And even when I move things around now, it's still going to have that soft edge. And this is one method, if you look up the furniture of Zaha Hadid, that you will see this creasing method there. And, you know, if I fabricated that as is, that is sort of very similar to some of Zaha's furniture. Knowing that Zaha does these experiments in furniture scale, then does them as a sort of pavilion or as an interior, like 4 or 5 years later, and then 4 or 5 years later does them as a museum. And sort of the methods are tested out with new geometry methods at a small scale, then medium, then large. Okay, so I'm going to delete this and let me go into a different browser and get a photo of Lockheed Lounge. So in front view, I'm not going to do this to scale because I don't really care about scale. I'm just going to put this here, right? So this is, I think I mentioned it already, a piece of furniture carved when Mark Newson was in his early 20s. He was a student, I think, of jewelry, and he went into the shed of which he was staying in this sort of student house and carved foam into these sort of soft forms, and then riveted steel to the foam and sold them. And he sold 10 of them and was happy that he paid his rent. But those pieces of furniture are now worth over $3 million each. And one of them is at the Carnegie Museum in Pittsburgh. And it was, I think the reason they hold such importance is his later furniture would create smooth forms with the assistance of out of work Aston Martin car manufacturing at a small scale, like sort of real craftsmen who would create fluid, smooth, soft forms in metal without the need for rivets. But this is his first attempt, and therefore it's sort of his origin story, and therefore one of the most important pieces to own. And there's sort of a limited amount of them, 10 or maybe a dozen or something. So let's create this form. This has got 3 legs that come down. You can see 1 here and then 2 on the other side. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a box, but when it comes to the count, I'm going to look at X, Y, and Z, and up here, I'm going to change it. So if I just don't change it for a second, and I just look at here, that I can see there's 2 by 2 by 2 by 2. And if I create another one, and I change the X to 3, and then I create it, I see now there's 3 along the X. And I think I'll just do 3 by 3 by 3. Okay. So to select the whole sub-D, I can turn those 2 off in the selection menu. Select sub-D, delete this one, and let's push this closer. I'm going to just model it where, so I can select faces. And I can also like go into this view here select just these edge faces and move this out as a way of selecting a lot of faces faster. So let's zoom, pull selected, and view from all places. So another thing I want to do here is, I know this is symmetrical, so I can turn on reflect sub-D object, and this is quite an important component. So select the sub-D, and I want to select the midpoint here. I want ortho on, and there we go. Left click and enter, and now I get this kind of slightly dark shaded half and this light shaded half. And what this is now is, if I edit this side, the same happens to the other side. So everything that I do to one side will happen to the other. And in this way, if you were modeling a face, you would model one eye, half a nose, half a mouth, and the other side would be a perfect replica of that. Because you wouldn't want, let's say in the case of a face, to model the eyes separately and then they never quite look the same, or the same with the lips or the nose or the ear or whatever. So a lot of the time, sub-D modeling, you're modeling half an object and letting the symmetry complete the other half. Okay, and take these three and extrude them, which if you want to just use the either type extrude sub-D, or you can use this icon here with a little bit of yellow in it. And you might need to switch the options here. I have it on WCS for the basis and direction as free. If you put that as if you set it as XYZ, it would be only able to go in the XYZ. But the best thing to do is put it on free and maybe have ortho on if that's needed. And I can basically come up with that. And now that creates, and if you see, it sort of extrudes it out, but it creates, let's say this is a new face, this is a new face, this is a new face, and those ones are up. That's very different from moving it. That would not add those extra faces around the edge. And as a result, now we have more faces and can move things differently. So let's start by doing these three, and we can move some here. And let's move down. Let's turn edges on as well. Okay, so I can select faces or edges. Let's bring this below. Move down. So I don't need to select that last one because it just mirrored. I'm like looking in multiple views what's going on. So I'm currently looking over here and just moving curves to match. Okay, and we're getting closer to, at least in this section, to it. So I also want to do an extrude for the legs, and I'm going to just do just this one, and the same will happen because it's mirrored. And I can just use icon here, and come down once, and I can move back, and also let's change the angle of it. And then all right, so then move this in. The front one, because we only have 3, I think we should be able to do it and won't have any problems. So let's extrude the very front one, or the one. Let's just subdivide this one. So let's use this icon here. We can take any face and subdivide it into 4 faces. And then, given I don't want all 4, I just want to join these 2 back together, I can use this icon here to merge 2 coplanar faces. So I click the button first, and then I click 1 face, 2 face, and then right click to restart 1 face, and there we go. So now I can extrude from this face to make my leg. That might be a bit better. So let's extrude, and let's just go down slot to start, and then this face here. I think this is too high. What else do I need to take? Let's turn F8 to turn ortho, and make it smaller. So this is the gimbal has changed axis. I'm just going to leave it as it is for now. Okay. So then to make this more round on the edge, I might bring these edges in a little bit. And again, this is going to be mirrored. So I only need to do it on one side. You can see how in flat view it's slightly messed up, but then works in the other view. Yeah, it's kind of a bit messy now. 0.3 or and stuff, yeah. Then I guess make it more rounded on the top. I can just raise up a little bit. I need how again. It's okay. We'll put that. right? Try to get this to work a little better. I might bring that out all the way back out here and subdivide these two and see if that looks any better. Merge that. That's undo. So I'm just again moving and looking at it from the other view. Okay, so when I get something kind of close to this form, I can select everything and type smooth. And this will perform a number of smoothing steps. If I go way too far, you can see it just shrinks to almost nothing. But I can just do maybe 3 or 4 smoothing steps, and that will sort of get it a lot smoother. And that's kind of, I can see it sort of changed it a little bit here. So I could go back in and just get this to line up to the right height again. All right, so that's kind of the beginning of sub D, the Lockheed Lounge. Another one, just to show more examples. I'm going to delete that. Delete this photo. Drag in a cat. So if you're going to do organic modeling, it's going to be done in here too. So I'm going to start with, let's start with the same box from there. And a lot of, in NURBS, you kind of start with points and curves, which is the majority of what we're going to do in this course. Where in sub Ds, you start with solids and then you deform them. So again, with this, I want to do a reflection plane so that I'm getting go F8, locked into the right plane. Enter, and I'm just going to edit this one side. So turn sub Ds off and turn faces on. I'm going to extrude this to make a leg. So I create those extra faces needed. I'm going to extrude this to make a leg. Okay, we're going to need to turn off the reflection plane though to change the legs so that the legs can be different. For now, let's leave it on. And given I want to stop this smoothing here too much, that I can do is I can do another extrusion. And one other way to do an extrusion, by the way, is I zoom in using this sort of circle here. I just drag down with that. That's just a really fast way of extruding in that direction. And a lot of modeling with sub-Ds is just extruding to sort of add geometry each time. So during extruding there by grabbing the circles. And then for the tail, I'm going to grab it from the top here, extrude. Again. So if I wanted to grab this, I could select this ring here and sort of double click to select the whole ring, drag that down some more, and then just one more time. Rotate orbital pulse. And I'm going to extrude out and make the head from here. So extrude that out. And I actually extruded twice. So let's do it once there and once again here. And that down a bit. Extrude that out this way. So I might subdivide the top, which is going to be subdivide sub D. And now extrude this, and because it's over the halfway line, it should create two of them. So hopefully, I'm just going to go up too high to make. And there's like an extra. Yeah. There we go. There. Getting this one out. And And subdivide this face to get more geometry to control. And this top one, I want to creep in. Let me cut the edge down. This wants to go way down here. And let's move these edges here in massively. Down a little bit. Okay. And with this, basically, you just keep going and subdividing and creating new forms until you got a sort of really accurate, yeah. Yeah, so let's turn off the reflection now by right-clicking. I don't think it worked. Let's right-click again. Select enter. Okay, so now we're out of reflection mode. So now I can edit, let's say the legs, even the ears maybe, and make one ear slightly like in front of the other if I wanted. It's no longer going to be, let's move. Let's flip back a bit. Also still way too thick. And start adding 3. All right. I think I need to make the cat thinner as well on that dimension, but do that in a second. I could do a double extrude here to get that leg more accurately, but I'm gonna keep it simple for now. Just mill it back. Yeah, that's fine. And let's take this one here. Word. Yeah, I guess I can't do those legs without doing a double extrude, but I'm just gonna leave it for now. Let's look at it from this view and take all of this and use control to get rid of the middle. Select all but 2. It's selecting most of the edge geometry, and I can just use the scale here, scale inward. And now I'm starting to look like a cat. Amazing how they can turn their neck. Okay. Maybe it's too sticky feet. And using subdivide, one of the nice things is if I wanted to, let's say, subdivide and subdivide and subdivide and subdivide into the head, I could get so much control that I could, create a sort of realistic cat. And while leaving this small amount of geometry on the back legs and the back everywhere. So this might be a bit too high here, creating this bridge point. This all right, so that's the cat example. All right, hope you enjoyed that.